Hello, everyone. I'm sorry we couldn't give you the full experience of Act 4, but I hope that just hearing the story and about half the songs as demos will quench your thirst for more musical content. Today I'm going to explain the entire plot and play songs where they occur if I have the demo for them. If there's no song, I'll read the script. I'll also try to make art to illustrate as much as I can. First, I'm going to play the opening number, then explain what happened. This one is called Tend to Your Fire.
Limbs swelling, thrashing, suddenly motionless in red, steadily beating hard, not dead. One breaks through the waves, the other he must save, limbs like lead against the current, drowning in dread, death coils a serpent. Run, tend to your fire. The angel is calling, deny her. Are the embers still burning? Is your world still turning? Don't let the ocean smother your flame. Crash, tumble, you stand up. When the going gets tough, you can't give up. If you fall to this fiery rain, the devil will know you by name. The lion and the lamb spread across the sand. Heavy breath, the song of death, but you won't give what she demands. The moon hangs low in the sky, rises by the strange new sun in his eyes. Golden glory, signal flame, taste of blood and body ache. I must tend to my fire. The angel is calling, deny her. Are the embers still burning? Is my world still turning? Can let the ocean smother our flame. Will. Hannibal. Dramatic, I know. So, Hannibal has to rescue Will's ass, even though Will got them into this mess, but he kind of just passes out from exhaustion when they get to dry land, leaving Will to wake up thinking, oh no, Hannibal dead? But eventually Hannibal does come to, and this leads directly into the next song. He's like, we could have died, and Will's like, yeah, that was kind of the point. They have a somewhat lengthy and aggressive conversation before Hannibal says something that really makes Will mad. Then there's this tense and slightly fruity silence before Will snaps and throws the first punch. Hannibal tries to stop him from continuing this fight because he actually doesn't want to hurt him, at least not right now. So when Hannibal gets the upper hand and hesitates, Will takes the opportunity to continue beating the shit out of him. Eventually, they both get tired and end up just laying there on the beach. Only after Will literally almost drowns Hannibal, though. With those visuals on your mind, here's the full song, titled Fall 1,000 Times. Oh, and by the way, the higher notes you hear during Hannibal's part are kind of just like an up the octave guide because my B2 is inaudible. I'm glad to see that you're alive, but you know we could have died. that was my plan from the start, but my compassion tore me apart. After granting me my freedom, you would deny me my life. Say it to my face, look me in the eye. Was this your desire? I was driven by justice, not desire. I was ready to jump into the fire, to take a leap of faith, to fall. I wanted to put an end to it all. Suicide's a sorry end. You'd rather die than be condemned. Death was my only option, but fate has made an exception. I imagine you couldn't live with the fact that you chose to abandon your wife and child. Tell me, Will, was it because you chose justice or because you chose me? You think you know me so well. A lot can change in 3 years, Hannibal. You haven't. You're still stuck in your ways, just like the old days. You can't accept your true nature unless it works in your favor. You delight in wickedness, and yet for that yourself you berate. When all those years ago you claim to tolerate. Did that feel good, Will? Did that satisfy your needs? No. You'll never be satisfied. Doesn't mean I'm not allowed to try. You don't want to do this, Will. I do not wish to hurt you. Didn't share that sentiment when you tried to kill me. On multiple occasions. Tell me, Will, are you the pot or the kettle in this analogy? Who am I to strike him? I can't blame him for his hatred. I must let him deal with his feelings about me directly. All those years of death and anger, all those nights I spent in sorrow, waking up today, I hope there's no tomorrow. 'Cause if I have to spend another day, if I get to spend another with day, the very thing I with tried to run away from, I'd rather fall 1,000 times and wake up breathing by your side. You could never stay away, could you? Arrogance plagued Achilles too. Your goodbye wasn't forever. You and I are tethered. Will you live with your choice now? It's my only option. Will you stay with me? Where else would I go? Whew, okay. Now, Chio walks up out of nowhere like, "Are you two done fighting?" and offers them a ride on the boat she got a few years ago. She's been traveling the world since she left Lithuania, you know. She makes Hannibal rest because he's seen better days, but keeps Will to chat. They talk about how Will ended up back at Hannibal's side and what their relationship is/will become in the future. Here's that song titled A Catalyst for Change. Are you two done fighting? Chio, how did you know we'd be here? I promised I'd watch over you. And you always keep your promises. I learned that from you. Didn't learn that much else, it seems. You're once again on the move. It happens to be that way, yes. If you stay here, you'll be caught. Come with me. I have a boat. We were both badly injured. I'm afraid I do not possess the skills to close your wounds, but this will control the bleeding. Let me help. Sit still. After all these years, the doctor still got it. Just like riding a bicycle. You're all stitched up, but you must be careful. Don't use this arm too much. What about you? I need more than stitches, but they'll have to do. We cannot risk seeking treatment. I'll take care of myself. Since when do you have a boat? When I traveled to Florence, I realized I enjoyed the adventure. Even more so when I crossed the ocean, wanted to see the world and its splendors. So I learned to sail. Do you hope to circumnavigate the world? I was preparing to, but when I heard the news of your escape last night, I had a feeling I'd be needed. Hannibal, you must rest now. Will, stay with me. We have much to talk about. If my memory serves me right, last we talked, you pushed me off a train. Did you learn a lesson? I certainly learned something that day. Learned even more when you shot me. You were going to attack Hannibal. I hoped to teach him a lesson, but instead I woke up with a bone saw halfway through my skull. He was not trying to leave you with another smile. Correct. He wanted to eat me. That was years ago. How did you end up here? You're still chasing him after all this time. We've only been recently reunited. You fight like you've known each other for a lifetime. It sure does feel that way. I almost can remember what it's like to not have Hannibal in my life. Even those years I spent away, he was there in the back of my mind. He's your shadow. What is your relationship with Hannibal Lecter? You don't know. I guess I should figure that out. He's all I have now. What about the ring on your finger? You're married? Was married. I don't think she'll take me back after this. I can't go home at all now while harboring a fugitive. You're a fugitive as well, but what are you running from? Other than the law, I guess I'm running from myself. Specifically the man I was 24 hours ago. Who were you? Or what were you? I was pretending to be something I wasn't. Hannibal pulled me out of it. Simultaneously, the cause and solution to my identity crisis. The catalyst for change, the spark that lit the flame. I feel it in my core. I'm not who I was before. There is one difference between my past and my future. Before and after him, I wish I'd met him sooner. I used to be so focused on freeing myself. I never noticed how I truly felt. There is no separation. No more hesitation. We are one. At the end of the song, Will tosses his wedding ring into the ocean. While Will and Hannibal rest for a while, Hannibal sends Chio to get them some stuff so they can visit Bedelia. This includes nice clean clothes, some drugs, and a bunch of money out of Hannibal's account. The song kind of roughly explains how she got it, don't worry. They show up just before dinner time, and Bedelia knows exactly what they are here to do. They team up and take her down so they can amputate, cook, and eat her leg. Here is the song for this event, appropriately titled, You May Make a Meal Out of Me Yet. Reprise. Here are the things you asked for. The man at the bank was not very smart. He handed over the money with very little questions. Perhaps it was due to the rifle you have strapped to your back. You may be correct. It was difficult to find the anesthesia, but I did my best. I also brought the clothes you requested. This will work. Thank you. I don't know what you intend to do, but I know that you will see it through. Consider this carefully, or your actions may come back to bite you. I assure you I have planned very carefully. I knew it was a matter of time before I had to step across the line. I warned you before, you should have ran. He would find me. She's right, this was her only chance. I kept my side of the deal, now you're upholding yours. What do you plan to take from me today? You will find out shortly. I see the end in my beginning. History repeats itself, tangles the vines of grape into an irreversible spell that you can't escape. When it comes to me, you let you marinate, settle and grow sweet, enough for our taste. Of all we have slain, to fail to savor you would be quite a shame. We will see you through. Will, are you ready? As ready as one can be. I know what you intend to do. I know that you'll see me through. You may make a meal out of me yet, but not today. When will you ever learn? When you fight fire with fire, you get burnt too. Didn't consider things carefully. Now your actions have come back to bite you. Will now. What have you done? We're putting you to sleep. Trust me, it's a favor. You don't want to be awake for this next part. Isn't this nice together, the three of us? You've been a delight, such a wonderful host. It's the least I can provide to keep you satisfied, or else you'd be dining on your own. How do I taste? Bitter. Even my expertise couldn't save you. The least I can say without being rude. No sweetness for your bitter taste. No dessert, we must leave before the end of the day. To abandon the table, it's not like you. I'm inclined to say that Will Graham has changed you in more ways than one, and it's only just begun. I'd say for the worst, look at what you've become. Look at you two, bleeding through your dress shirts. With every move you make, those wounds rip open. Choose your next steps wisely, or you won't make it very long. Once finished, they set off again on the boat. That night, Will is left to take care of the boat during a terrible storm. Being alone with his thoughts, he has a crisis of sorts about whether or not he's made the right decision. All of this while trying to steer the boat away from rocks and rough waters. All this extra movement and dramatic singing causes his wounds to reopen, but he doesn't notice until a few minutes later, when he has already thoroughly tired himself out. In a combination of exhaustion and blood loss, he collapses on the deck, hitting his head on the way down. Hannibal finds him covered in blood, unconscious. Now that I've spoiled the chilling ending, here's rocking the boat. Are you sure you know what you were doing? Yes, I'm sure. I sailed to Europe on my own. I've got this. All right. Wake me if there is trouble. The storm in my head never stops. The fire in my heart burns so hot. Thunder rumbles down beneath my feet. The waves, they crash and rock my boat. I'm trying my best to stay afloat. Insecurity sowing its seeds. But I know there's no going back from here. Running start, we jumped off of the pier. And I know it's wrong, I've known all along, but it's finally time to face my fears and run away. All I thought I wanted, but all I am is haunted by my life thrown to the flames. He led me astray, he became the waves, led me to the grave. I learned to stand with the pain. I was told to stay away, with my life I'd surely pay, but here I am beside him once again. Ignore the past and present fear. The leap of faith has brought us here. Cheated death and fate in our descent. But I know he's bad for me, and this is not where I should be. I should be on that beach cold and lit. I was happily wed, now I'm presumed dead. I have no other choice but to trust him and run
I'm chained to the pendulum, back and forth each rail to trust. A voice inside me tells me to stay away. I'm playing a dangerous game. I know that there will be a price to pay. I can't run away from all I thought I wanted. All I'll ever be is haunted by the life I threw away. I was led astray. He hit me like a wave. He'll lead me to the grave, but I will live with the pain. He has his hold on me. There is no breaking the chain.
Another banger. Another banger by Seahorse Trash. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the significance of this one being a rock number, because it's definitely something that will be overlooked. Spoiler alert, this is the last rock song of the entire musical. The heavier genre was introduced with Francis Dollarhide. As Will leaves his old life behind, he leaves behind the rock genre because Francis is gone for good. If you can't tell, this is in my top 10 list of the entire musical. After Will bonks his head, we go back to the mainland, where Freddie Lowndes has just dropped her story about the murder husband's great escape. Jack doesn't believe that they could be alive, but Freddie is confident. This one is another one of my favorites, called Read All About It. Nobody has dared to report on the murder husbands in fear that they would meet the same fate as the Red Dragon, except for one woman. One woman with the audacity to speak her mind. It all depends on how much you trust me.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Can't run from the truth, you're fully surrounded. Have you heard the news in town? The murder husbands are still around. They're the hot topic everybody's talking about. Survive the fall, no one knows how. Spread the word like wildfire. If you want to catch them, it's down to the wire. The fish are in the barrel, gotta shoot your shot. If you wanna see these cannibals caught. Jack Crawford, have you heard? Your fugitives are still walking the earth. They searched the waters and combed the beach. Didn't find anything, you know what that means.
They fell into the ocean blue. Has it ever occurred to you that they're
Caught in the current, pulled away from the shore.
It's purely coincidence, nothing more.
Tell that to Bedelia Maurier. She came to me, she had a lot to say. The latest victim, but she's alive. By some miracle, she survived. They didn't kill her, just took what they wanted.
And what was that?
Why don't you do your own research, Jack? They're out there, and that's a fact. And if you don't look for them, I will.
All you'll do is get yourself killed. You saw what they did to Dollarhide, the slaughter. You were on the scene before they hit the water. If they're somehow alive, they'd kill you in a heartbeat.
How do you think I survived this long, Jack? I know what I'm doing. Extra, extra, read all about it. Can't run from the truth, you're fully surrounded. Molly Graham? Freddie Lowndes? What are you doing here? Leave us alone, please. Have you heard it's such a shame? Your husband's alive, tending to an old flame. He and Hannibal are on the run together. It's burning bright and hotter than ever.
He's alive? Oh, of course. That's just how the story goes.
Romeo and Juliet, forbidden lovers fake their death, and all of us will pay the debt.
Will would never, all he ever talked about was Hannibal ruining his life.
But all he talked about was Hannibal. Your denial is understandable. There's a reason I call them the murder husbands, and you know exactly why.
You don't know him like I do. You're right, I've seen the sides he's tried to hide. He's always been a killer.
It's just started to look clearer.
He isn't a killer, he just thinks like one.
Then where did this fisherman learn to hunt?
He claims work ruined him, then why would he go back?
A thinly veiled excuse to see the man who lets him take off his mask. Always on his mind, but Hannibal's just as bad. Maybe even worse, they're obsessive, they've gone mad.
I'd say you're the one who's obsessed. I'm just making observations. Can't help that your husband and his side piece are a hot topic right now. Wait, are you the side piece? He and Hannibal have a pretty long history, you know. A history of violence, manipulation, and betrayal. And perhaps forgiveness. This conversation is over. Goodbye, Freddie. I never liked Will Graham, you know. You're better off without him.
This just in, the murder husbands live. They fell down the aisle, they made it official. The best story they can give.
As Freddie's spotlight fades, we see Molly crying in her bathroom. She has a hot girl breakdown, tosses her wedding ring, and cuts her hair. After this, there is a knock at the door. This would be a song called Catch 'Em Come Home Reprise. There is no script for that one, just a general premise, so we'll skip to the next. At the very beginning of the next song, Molly answers the door. It's Reba. They've never met before, but Reba has heard the story on the news and wanted to talk to Molly because they're kinda in the same boat, having fallen in love with the murderers. This one isn't songified either, so I'm simply going to read the script. I'll try to use different tones for Molly and Reba so you can tell who's saying what, but I'll also put the script on the screen. Oh, and I'm also going to be reading the stage directions in the voice of the machine from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Okay, bye. Molly walks downstairs and opens the door, wiping back tears. Hello, are you Molly Graham? Yes, who are you? I'm sorry, I'm not sure if we've met. Things have been pretty crazy lately. Oh, trust me, I know all about this craziness. I survived the fire of the dragon. My name is Reba. Reba McLean. Nice to meet you, Reba. Please, come in. Molly leads Reba over to the kitchen table, where they both take a seat. So, I assume you're here about my husband? Your ex-husband. When I shook your hand, I didn't feel a wedding ring. How are you handling things? I think I've cycled through the stages of grief about 3 times now. It never gets easier. It may feel that way now, but eventually, that grief ends. You'll come out of this stronger than ever before. I most certainly did. I think all you need is a little positive change. Does chopping off all my hair count? It sure is a start. Now, tell me, what's really bothering you? Your man leaving can't be the only thing. You're stronger than that. I know it. I guess I'm just upset because I thought I knew him, but I was so wrong. I knew his past was dark, but I thought he had gotten better. I thought he was this sweet, caring man, but with all that's come to light, I feel like I married a monster. You didn't marry a monster. You married a man with a monster in his mind. Nothing wrong with you. Don't let yourself believe there is. Hannibal Lecter created the man your husband became. He's the monster. And that monster's driving the bus, dragging Will underneath by a seemingly unbreakable chain. But that doesn't make Will innocent, does it? Exactly. Because he's holding on to that chain. Holding on for dear life. Do you think he'll ever let go? As long as he believes what this man is telling him, he'll have a vice grip. He'd have to do something real terrible to make Will second-guess his decisions.
Like what?
Clearly, Will doesn't mind Hannibal trying to kill him. It's happened twice directly, once by proxy, and yet he chased after him anyway. He's shackled himself to that man. To break that chain, he'd have to kill someone he loves.
Like me?
Like you. Or the child. How attached is he to the boy?
He told me he lost the only child he's ever had before it was even born. He saw Wally as a second chance to be a father. A good one.
And was he?
Sometimes. He wasn't perfect. There were days when he'd be trapped inside himself, and he wouldn't let anyone else in. Not even me. He'd be cold, distant. I tried to tell Wally why this would happen, but there's no way to explain that man's life to a kid without scaring them away.
Well, it's no good to be traumatizing a child with horror stories of adulthood. This one's seen enough. You've got to protect him.
With my life.
You're a great mother, Molly. I hope you know that. And an even greater woman for tolerating all this madness. I better get going now, but if you ever need anything, you give me a call, okay?
Reba takes a slip of paper out of her purse with a phone number printed on it. I will. Next, we see Jack meeting with Bedelia. She's been healing for a while now, so they're at her home. After she shares what she can, we see Jack consulting his members of the special task force he created in search for Hannibal and Will, dead or alive. The other agents haven't made any progress, but Jack discovered a lead. He concludes that there's a third party helping them. They bring in the bank teller from the day that the money was withdrawn from Hannibal's account, and she points in the security camera to Chio. When Jack realizes who she is, he knows that it's no use trying to track her down. 5 years pass with no significant progress. Jack is asking for help from Jimmy and Brian, but Price has retired and Zeller's on his way to a birthday vacation. Long story short, they can't, or don't want to, help him. Jack pulls some bullshit that you're just going to have to hear for yourself. This one's called up to the task. Thank you for having me, Dr. Dumouriez. I understand you're still in recovery. I appreciate your willingness to speak with me. In an investigation, cooperation is key. I knew it was a matter of time before I heard from the FBI. At least I am well enough to answer the door. That's what you've been waiting for. I don't want to intrude. I just want what's best for you. I thought you'd be more comfortable at home. I tried to put myself in your shoes. Yes, here I can show you exactly where I woke up, where I sat at the table, and the oven mitts Hannibal wore as he prepared me for dinner. I'm sure this event was traumatic. What happened to you was tragic. How are you coping? Do you need support? I believe I am the therapist, Jack, not you. But if you must know, I turn to mindless daytime shows. All the drama, forgetting trauma. My poison of choice has been soap operas. Anything that works. So, approximately what time did you arrive to find Hannibal Will in your home? I came home with the groceries around 5 o'clock. Were they severely injured? Yes, but that didn't stop them. 2 days after the fight, they seem to be in a rush. I doubt they made it far. Follow the trail of blood. Do you believe that they are dead at this time? They were already on the brink of death. If they survived, I'd be surprised. Tore open their sutures during the fight. Those stains on the table aren't from wine. But I'm not quite sure what to believe. Those two have been known to deceive. Forgive me, that's all I have to offer. I hope that I was useful
You have been of great help, Doctor. Any luck with the search? No, sir, no sign of them. We've done the research, checked every Italian church. Spain, France, Great Britain, nothing suspicious. No one by their descriptions, no one by their names. This is starting to look like a losing game. Well, wherever they went, they aren't alone. 48 hours after the escape, a large sum of money withdrawn from the bank, taken out on his behalf. Someone close, I'm sure of that. I want you to find out who was working that day, bring them in for an interview, and request security footage. This secret ally may be the key to tracking them down. We found a path, where does it lead? Is this a dead end or is it the key to unlocking this deadly mystery before there is another crime scene? So, could you describe the day that the money was withdrawn from Lecter's account? It was first thing in the morning. On her back there was a warning. A woman with a rifle, but she didn't aim. I was so scared I didn't ask for a name. Show me the tape, point her out to me. Tell me, Jack, who do you see? No, it can't be. I know this woman, we've met before. She saved my life, I couldn't thank her more. She's elusive, we'll never find her. Yet another stalemate, no point in keeping score. Years have passed. What if they are dead? Hope is beginning to collapse. Running out of logs to put on the fire. The best on his team is beginning to retire. Zeller, Price, I need your advice. Tell me please, what can you offer? I'm sorry, Jack, we can't help you. My retirement is overdue. Not my house, not my fire. I've got places to be and people to see before I expire. Well, what about you, Brian? You've still got 5 more years. Who do you think is accompanying him? His places to be and people to see would be nothing without me. Now, if you'll excuse us, we'll be on our way to Florida for Brian's birthday. Good luck with your manhunt. What would Beverly think? Do not bring her into this, Jack. Beverly would think you're being a bit of an asshole. Don't you think that I feel guilty? Will stood in that observatory. He told me she planned to come to me and tell me everything. But I wasn't there. If only I was there, maybe her life would have been spared. We all felt guilty, but in reality, Hannibal's the big bad wolf in this story. Will wore a sheep's cloak, but now he's on the team, blowing down houses and crushing dreams. Do you really think you could have talked her out of going to Lecter's house? You know what? I'll keep an eye out for anything strange. If I find anything, I promise I'll come back to tell you. But we're not doing this for you. We're doing this for her. as my own retirement is rapidly approaching. I wonder why I do these things. Why continue the search? Why, when there's a chance they're not even alive?
Next, we see a fully healed Chilton and Bedelia meeting for a special therapy session. Bedelia sports a prosthetic leg, and Chilton has recovered with the help of dozens of reconstructive surgeries, funded by a book written about the Great Red Dragon. We also imply that Reba is a speaker of sorts, likely telling her story and spinning it into something motivational. Between you and me, it's really just mentioned so that Bedelia can roast Chilton. She comments that Reba is much better with her words than Chilton and has pure motives, unlike him. Bedelia concludes that Chilton's issue is that he is simply obsessed with Will Graham. I know you've been long retired, but thank you for seeing me. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart, or what's left of it. Please, have a seat. Tell me, Dr. Chilton, what brings you to my office? I've been told by many that I need therapy. I always thought of myself as the one who administers therapy. I never considered that perhaps I was in need. But why are you here, specifically? With all your connections, surely you could have found a therapist who was still practicing. You see, Doctor, you and I have something in common. We are both victims of these so-called murder husbands. I do not consider myself a victim. Then what are you? Lucky. Or perhaps unlucky. Those men could have killed me so easily, yet they chose to leave me like this.
Show his prosthetic leg.
I still cannot decide if it was an act of mercy or further damnation. Will and Hannibal do not know mercy. They wanted you to live, to suffer. They want to use you as an example. Even if they died that night, as you have speculated, they would die knowing that you were miserable, just how they like it. Does it comfort you, having someone to blame? Does it bring you peace to believe that none of this could possibly be your fault? Aren't you supposed to be helping me? Dr. Du Maurier, my feelings are rooted in facts. The fact is, 100% of my body was burned, and it's all because of Will Graham. 95% of it was expertly reconstructed, and it's all thanks to your wealth. Are the book sales still booming? Yes, actually. America's brief obsession with the Great Red Dragon has led to continued support of all those who survived him. Have you heard Reba McLean speak? Yes, she's quite good with her words. An inspiring story indeed. However, I think your motivations differ. How so? The issue comes down to this. You are obsessed with Will Graham, but not in the way Hannibal is. No, you are obsessed with the idea of revenge. You want him to feel the pain you did. All that and more. Will Graham doesn't just deserve to burn. It must be in the fires of hell. If he's still alive, he deserves to die. You mustn't jump to these extremes, Frederick. It will only hurt you. Ooh, spicy. Okay. The next song is a fun little number to check in on our murder husbands after 5 years of being on the run. After teasing you guys and pretending that Will didn't make it through some deceptive lyrics, we reveal that they've settled in Cuba together. I hope you enjoy A Fugitive's Paradise. Ocean spray and sunshine, and freedom can be mine. No need for alibis, a fugitive's paradise. Every day new sights to see, but after a while it begins to bore me. Everything's better with a friend who'll stay until the bitter end. Sure, I miss the old days before I was locked up and ran away. So much I left behind, but there's so much more here for me to find. But I don't live this life for free. From me it's taken plenty. Stormy weather, my only treasure, lost to the sea. Fate
it demanded its sacrifice. I handed over a precious life so I could keep mine, and he could be by my side. "5 years since our leap of faith, we found ourselves in this lovely place. It could never get better than when we're together. I could stay here forever. Every day we take a chance, when tourists take a second glance. But we're past the point of no return. We must abandon all concern. Yeah, we take a life or two here and there. We're Havana's deadliest affair. Our reign of terror has only just begun. Blood boiling in the sun." I love that one. Okay, next song is actually written, but I never made a demo of it. So I'm going to simply read the lyrics like it's an elementary school poetry contest. But first, let me introduce our setting. It has now been 7 years since the fall, and Wally Foster is now 18. He has requested that Jack come and show him some of his old combat tricks, but it's really just all a ruse to ask questions about Will and Hannibal. Ever since he found an old title crime article about the murder husbands, he vowed that he would be the one to take them down. After Jack warns Wally for like the 5th time that's an awful idea, we pan up to Molly and Reba watching from the porch, having their own conversation. I didn't have a good title for this one, so I just call it Training Montage, aka I'll Make a Man Out of You. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, Mom." "All right. Jack's waiting for you outside." Wally walks down the stairs to meet Jack, who is dressed far more casually as he is now retired. And this is where the lyrics start. "Long time no see. You've grown, almost taller than me. Haven't gained an inch since freshman year, just one short of 6 feet. You make me feel old. Did you graduate?" "Yes, sir, I did, and I made all A's." "Such a bright mind, and you won't go to college? You know you won't be able to talk me into it. I support your decisions, but I'm hesitant about using old connections to get you ahead. Think about it this way. I'm learning self-defense. You don't have to know who I'm defending against. Just don't think about that part." "I'll try that." "Are you ready?" "As I'll ever be." "All right, kid. I'm gonna teach you the way they taught me. I'm 18, Jack, not a kid anymore. You'll always be a kid to me. If you surpass me, then you'll be a man. In that case, you better pay better attention." Walter has sneakily inched his way forward into striking distance and begins the first match with a jab at Jack's shoulder or arm. Jack retaliates, but Walter skillfully blocks. "Where'd you learn these moves?" "When the dragon attacked, we couldn't fight back, but Mom wanted to change that. We both trained in martial arts, so if it happened again, we could fight back hard." A part of me is convinced that she's reserving those skills for if she happens to run into her ex. "Hannibal's the one to worry about. Taught me a thing or two in our encounters." "Like what?" "Lesson 1. Never get too comfortable. Don't let your guard down or you'll be done for. Just when you think you've managed to escape, there he'll be with a fresh blade. Legend says he can bring a knife to a gunfight, and he'll be the only one to survive. You'll need to catch him with his hands free. He'll be disarmed, but he's quick on his feet. Cunning, too. Being strong's no use if you can't outsmart him." "What about Will?" "Will wasn't always the strongest, but I'm sure he's learned some of Hannibal's tricks. That's assuming they're both still alive. Where do you think they could be?" Time out. The match abruptly stops. "Why all these questions? Are you planning something?" "Of course not, Jack. What would make you say that?" "Because you're a terrible liar. They'd kill you in a heartbeat." "That's why I want you to help me. You survived them. Teach me how to survive. I've only fought one, and the first time, I barely made it out alive." "Promise me you won't go out looking for them." "I'm a terrible liar, Jack." The main stage dims as the loft is lit to show Reba and Molly sitting together, watching Walter and Jack. "You ever wonder what they talk about down there? I hear bits and pieces, but I can never put them together." "Probably Will and Hannibal. Wally's been obsessed ever since he found out the truth." "When did you break the news?" "Didn't have to. An old article he found from Freddie Lowndes revealed the truth. Murder husbands on the run. Didn't take a sleuth. Old secrets brought to light again. Can't imagine that was pleasant. It hurt less the second time. At least I knew the fault wasn't mine." "That's good. Now, when am I going to get you to stop blaming Hannibal?" I think I stopped a long time ago. I just can't admit it. Take all the time you need. Just know that every year that goes by, your ex digs his grave so deep. He's got a firm grip on that chain. He's doing these things willingly. He's climbed out from under the bus and into the driver's seat. He's equally as monstrous. I know it may be hard to see. It took me some time to accept it as well, seeing as he had been so kind to me when we met. But any man so willing to abandon his family is a pure rotten egg cracked by insanity. Trust me, I would know. I've been down this road. It's either him or solitude. You're better off alone. So, how'd you like my little poetry recital, huh? I never won those contests as a kid. Still at the 7-year mark, we check back in on Chilton and Bedelia. After some banter, we revealed that Chilton wants to team up with Bedelia to get revenge. Once again, just gonna read the script. It's been a while since you've come to see me regularly. How was the book tour? Not as many fans as before, but the avid readers had many questions. Did you answer them honestly? Of course not. Now I have a question for you. After 7 years of peace, do you believe they are still alive? Hannibal? Certainly. Will, he may have died in some idiotic way. Hannibal wouldn't want to continue the journey without him, and we have yet to see an article about his death or surrender. Therefore, the old doctor's still kicking. He'd be what, 60? 55, at least according to his medical records. You've probably got all kinds of dirt on him, don't you? You were his psychiatrist after all. Unfortunately, I must keep this dirt to myself. Doctor-patient confidentiality. What a shame. I never followed those old rules much. Surely there's the threat of getting caught, but the gossip is worth it. With whom did you gossip? I could never get Hannibal to engage, if that's what you're asking. Never wanted to tell me anything about Will, and now I know why. And why is that? They've been a knockoff Bonnie and Clyde from the very beginning, and both of them were out to get me. When Hannibal framed me for murder, Will called the authorities, and his hand on my shoulder was the final nail in my coffin. Wouldn't be surprised if Hannibal had instructed him to do that. You don't believe it could have been a coincidence or simply the dragon's misinterpretation of the situation? Sure, there's always that possibility, but I choose to see the worst in people, especially those two. I trusted them both, and they both led me to near death. So you are still pining for revenge? Wonderful observation, Doctor. Why? A limb here, a lung there, a few feet of intestines, or a full head of hair. We've all lost something at the hands of Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter. The dead at least have the luxury of being done with what they lost. Wouldn't you like to take something from them? Are you suggesting I help you? Are you in? Bedelia pauses, considering his offer. Yes. Perfect. As soon as either of us catch wind of their whereabouts, we must begin planning. See you next session. Chilton exits. Bedelia waits for him to leave the room, then stands with a slight grin on her face, turning towards the audience. And now I will play and sing for you the lyrics that I had written for the end of this part. If you were in my place, you'd have done the same. I let this madman pave the way. Listen to his mad ramblings of murder and revenge. Pretend that we're friends, then at the very end, I'll lead him astray. I'll make them all pay. They'll underestimate me, but soon they will see. They'll believe me. The birds all crushed beneath my feet. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, 2025! It has been 10 years since the Wrath of the Lamb, and Will has long hair now because we thought that would be fun. Will and Hannibal are at a cool dance bar in Cuba. Little do they know, Jimmy has brought Brian to Cuba to celebrate Brian's retirement. Upon discovering this, Will wants to just get rid of him the old-fashioned way, but Hannibal has a better idea that will be explored in another song. This one doesn't really have a real title, and it's half finished. Like, I had to put in some filler lyrics so the second half wouldn't be all doo-doos and da-das. But we playfully call it Cuba Dance Song. Oh, and it's a mambo. We once circled each other like prey, a game of cat and mouse with each passing day. We walked into each other's traps, pushed until the boundaries collapsed. A
push and then a shove, something that we call love. The sun dips below the horizon. You wanted to dance, I'm compromising. Retirement in the peace and quiet. Nobody's nor indulging in regrets. Of blood we've seen our fair share. The distance is a breath of fresh air. We broke free from the chase, found our time and place, picked up what we had lost. Look at us, who would have thought? Dancing with the devil, in plain sight let us revel. What a thrill, just like the rush of a fresh kill. A change of scene, nothing obscene, dare I say just the sun. And killers on the run. Look to your left, suddenly 3 o'clock. I noticed them, they're watching like a hawk. So they've seen us, what do we do? Now spoil their time off, this is about me and you. We should alert the authorities and make a call, or move on and do nothing at all. We just got out of the mess, it isn't worth being a witness. Do you want our blood spill? I do not wish to see anybody else killed. So hold on tight, lay the dance floor into the sunlight. We turn our mind and say, no need to have their heads. We once circled each other like prey, a game of cat and mouse. With each passing day, we won't fall for another trap. No, we have to kill them before they run and tell Jack. If they live another day, God knows what they will say. Be quiet, will these people know our faces? You've never been one to dance for their praises. Devil, in plain sight let us revel. Trust me, I have a plan. Will you take this chance? Da 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 da. God, I love that song. Okay, the next one is another dance number. Basically, this song just shows Hannibal and Will killing like 3 people together to create a work of murder art. It's like very unfinished. Like it's just piano, percussion, and a little bit of strings. Like it would have been so epic, but I'm just gonna share what I have, okay? Because I love it. They're going to find us. What are we going to do? If they're going to find us, it's because we want them to. Long time no kill, no longer than a lasted meal. What's the plan? We take 3, no more. They're not prepared for what we have in store. The night sweeps over, the first in our hands. Soon both of them will be
It's just like I promised. No smog in the sky, just the stars we'd forgotten. Time stops shining blades in our hands. Everything is going to plan. Why these people I don't understand. What is the sin that means they should be damned? What did they do to deserve this?
They're tourists.
The deed is done, the night's almost gone, out of the shadows and into the flood.
Whoa, are you guys all right? Do you need help? That's not your blood, is it? No, it isn't.
Hold him steady when you're ready. Bask in the glory of man-killing man. This is our purpose. Nothing can stop us. Can't scratch the surface. Born from betrayal and bound by trust. Let's make a work of art to get our point across. This is the effect and we're the cause. Show them it's no child's play against us in the most dangerous game. If they're going to find us, it'll already be too late. So eager, haven't seen you like this in a while. That spark in your eyes breaks free, a roaring fire. It's all because of you, all the awful things we do. No longer do I feel shame, I will dare to fan the flames. Let's make a work of art, just for old time's sake. Together there's no limit to what we can create. Let's make a work of art, together you and me. Sculptural, it's spiritual, this was meant to be.
We got you like fish, stabbing hooks into your eyes, ears, and mouths. You never saw us coming. You never heard our voices, and you didn't have time to scream. We stuff your bodies into a net, hanging you from the trees. Most of you are worthless, but one of you will be our messenger. In your hand we place a note, signed in blood. This is our design. Next would be a really fun and interesting reprise of They Know. It starts with Zeller and Price, back from vacation, busting into Jack's home to tell him about Will and Hannibal. They are surprised to find out that Jack already knows. Everyone knows, because Will and Hannibal literally signed their work in Cuba. I'm going to read the little blurb I wrote for the Title Crime article. It includes a note that Will and Hannibal left. This would have been turned into a verse that Jimmy, Brian, Jack, Bedelia, Chilton, Will, everybody basically, all sing together. All right, let's go. Just this morning in Havana, Cuba, 3 corpses were found suspended in fishing nets.
Among bodily mutations and missing organs, a note was found tucked into the hand of one of the victims. It reads as follows: "We want you to know exactly where we are and where you can find us." Signed, Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter. Could these be the same two men who mysteriously disappeared all those years ago? Okay, then there's the familiar chaos section, which I will play now because it's the only part of the song that was written.
Reality gives us what we need. This is only the beginning when they sow double things. No one knows where this road will take us, but it will show what we all are made of.
Now, here comes another favorite. Empty Nest shows Walter arguing with his mother, with Molly expressing her worry and Walter being frustrated by what he views as overprotection. Mom, I need to talk to you.
What's wrong?
I saw the news. They're in Cuba. How do you feel about that? Angry. I'm angry too. I was hoping they'd find them dead. Don't say that. They're terrible people, but they're still people. You say that like I care. If only I could get down there. No, I won't let you go. Would you rather than run free, get away again? I'm trying to protect you. I won't let them get to you. I can protect myself and play with the cards I've been dealt. I'm trained in combat. I can fire a gun in every sparring match. Jack can tell you I won. I know you are capable and strong, but sending you away would feel so wrong. If you went down there and didn't come back, I don't think my heart could take it. I need to get to them before anyone else.
But Wally...
Stop calling me that. I'm not a kid anymore. But you'll always be my baby boy. And if the world gave me a choice, you wouldn't have to live by the sword. You're undervaluing the reward. Where are you going? You're not about to pack your bags, are you? You know I'm a terrible liar.
All this life I've been sheltered from the violent world's nest. Ever since the dragon, I've always been so scared. I couldn't live with myself if I let him go to die. I'll show them I have what it takes to stand up and fight. Now that he's grown, he'll go out on his own. I pray my revenge. I'll catch them come home.
The next song, titled How the Cookie Crumbles, covers the full reaction from Chilton and Bedelia. They make plans to go to Cuba and hunt down the murder husbands. Well, well, well. Never thought I'd see the day, but here we are. Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter are alive. Look how the cookie has crumbled. The murder husbands crawl out of their cave after a decade. They've been honeymooning, these men we've been pursuing in the sand, killing locals hand in hand. I could have spent the last 10 years in Cuba if it weren't for all those pesky medical bills. They've cracked open the can of worms, there's no time left to burn. If you want revenge, here's your chance. They want you to dive into that can. I reckon we wait for the cash. Others will beat us, we must act in haste. We can't let them escape. Have you not learned from your mistakes? Are you suggesting we trust your judgment? When has that ever ended well for you? You trusted Hannibal? You agreed to help Graham? I learned that we can all rest on a rose-petal-covered bed. There will be pain, but let there be gain. Enjoy the sweet taste of revenge. It's a dish best served cold. Your anger festers old. Has your hatred continued to grow? Of course, and yours, we share the same goal. Look how the cookie has crumbled. Their empire is tumbling down. They'll soon be found. I'll get my revenge. I will pretend we'll track them down. By this manhunt we are bound. Look how the cookie has crumbled. Everything is falling into place. They'll fall from grace. But we must stay humble. Don't let lust for revenge topple our crowns. We're not here to play around. So, shall we book a flight? The next song centers around Molly, Jack, and Reba saying goodbye to Walter before he heads off to Cuba. It uses the same chord progression from Because of You, because Jack saw Wally as kind of a second chance to right the mistakes he made with Will. The general statement is, we don't want you to go, but we believe that you are capable. Just don't die, please. This is another one that doesn't have a final title, so we just call it Jack's Send-Off. In my life, I made many mistakes. Made me think I didn't have what it takes. I did my best to make things right for you. I wish that I could go and fight with you, but I'll admit that I'd seen better days. Better now to coach than play. I've trained you the best I can. You've made me a better man. I hope that I can make you proud. Make all those years of training worth it. I promise I won't let you down. I'll bring these killers back to justice. I've done my best to train you well. You've always stayed true to yourself. No matter what challenges you face, you always do whatever it takes. You've done your best to keep me safe, but now it's my turn to do the same. I promise I'll come back to you. I'm doing what I need to do. The world out there won't be kind. We can hold your hand up to the line, but it's yours to cross and pay the cost. We've all lost so much at the hands of these monsters. To bring them down will be your greatest honor. But you must know, you must understand, not all things will go to plan. So be prepared for hardship and setbacks. Be prepared for their surprise attack. Be prepared for everything that life will throw at you. Promise me you'll find him. Promise me you'll catch them. Promise me you'll catch them, come home. I promise you I'll catch them, come home. If you succeed, you'll be a hero, the bravest man I ever knew. Think of all the people who will live because of you. Well, I guess this is goodbye. Not forever. I have faith in you, Walter. We all do. Okay, so this next song is an absolute banger. Truly Wonderful People shows Walter arriving in Cuba and immediately getting to work, asking a few questions to a woman named Lola. She recognizes Hannibal and Will, but calls them by their aliases, Taylor and Clem, respectively, paying homage to the original voice actors. I wrote this before the Will switch, so I probably would have tried to change some things to fit if we had actually finished Act 4, but for now, we're just keeping it the way it was, you know? Anyway, all the people of the park start singing about how Hannibal and Will are truly wonderful people. Walter tries to tell them the truth, but they don't listen, except for one man, Ernesto. Ernesto is Hannibal and Will's next-door neighbor. He invites him to be his +1 at Hannibal's Sunday night dinner party, but insists that they have another conversation before the dinner, which is an entire song on its own, but we're just going to play Truly Wonderful People now. Let's go.
After all these years, I'm finally here. For all this time, I have persevered. I'm finally chasing Will and Hannibal. Their life on the run is unsustainable, but I can't do this alone. I can't find them on my own. Gotta talk to some locals and see what they know.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could I borrow a few minutes of your time? Of course. What's your name, young man? Walter?
Buenos dias, Walter, you can call me Lola. You've come to speak with me, que necesitas? I'm here on a mission to investigate. I'm looking for clues about some crime in the States.
Oh no, am I a person of interest? No, ma'am, I'm actually here to interview some of the locals.
Go ahead, ask away. People say I have all the answers. How are you with names and faces?
I know everybody.
Perfect. Have you seen these men?
Oh yes, it's Clem and Taylor. They just had me for dinner. They're truly the best. Clem walks all the dogs on my street. He always comes prepared with water and treats. And he volunteers at the shelter every day. Takes care of everybody, never asks for pay. Taylor hosts dinner every Sunday night. Everybody on the block gets an invite. He brings fresh desserts to every bake sale. To impress us with taste, he never fails. They truly are wonderful people. When it comes to neighbors, they set the bar. Expect nothing in return, that's just who they are. That's not Clem and Taylor. That's Will, Graham, and Lecter. They're wanted criminals from the United States. Don't believe me, check your murder rates. They've risen in the past 10 years. That's about how long they've been here. Why won't they listen to me? I'm trying to give them a warning.
So you're looking for criminals, huh? Yes. You FBI?
Something like that.
What are you looking for? Drug dealers? Murderers? It's gotta be someone real bad for you to come all the way down here.
Do you know these men?
I am very familiar. They've been my next door neighbors for 10 years. Could you show me where they live? That's not my info to give. Besides, they're never home barring dinner parties. When is the next dinner party?
This Sunday, but it's invite only. However, I do get a +1. What's the catch? No catch. Meet me here on Sunday at 6. Party starts at 7, but there is more we must talk about.
God, I love that one. Okay. Next, we meet Ernesto at the designated spot, where he asks Walter to help him track down the mysterious serial killer that murdered his wife 3 years ago. His nickname is La Sombra De Bellamar. Oh my God, my Spanish is so bad. Sombra meaning shadow. And it's a cave system, basically. Okay. So Walter informs him that the shadow is just another persona of Hannibal. Ernesto isn't quite sure how to feel, knowing that he is about to attend the dinner party of a cannibal that killed his wife. And quick note, the cave system reference is still an active tourist attraction as of 2022, but this takes place in 2025, so who knows? This one is appropriately titled La Sombra De Bellamar. You came. I'm a man of my word. What did you want to talk about? I may have told a lie when I said there was no catch. I need a simple favor, it is no daunting task. Of course it's up to you, you chose to come back. I just need some peace of mind, that is all I ask. There's a case that has affected me personally. You're a smart young man, I was hoping you could help me. A decade-long deadly mystery. Of course I'll try, sit down, I'll tell the story. An hour and a half from here lies Las Cuevas de Bellamar. Closed down 5 years ago after 50 tourists slain in methods grotesque and bizarre. They disappear in small groups, no more than 3. A number that forever lives in infamy. Just like the Chesapeake Ripper, the monster of Florence, Hannibal Lecter's killer has a name too. La Sombra De Bellamar, named after the shadows that kept his actions in the dark. You said you had a personal experience. My lovely wife was amongst those deaths and disappearances. She had a timeless beauty, lit up the room for all to see, but her flame was snuffed out too soon. 3 years ago, under a new moon, she and 2 friends snuck into the caves. They never came back, at least not in the way you would hope for. They found them on the beach, a piece of art made of gore. Their bodies were posed so carefully, like he was mocking them, like he was mocking me. Any mutilation or organ removal, he replaced my wife's heart with a crystal. I think we may be talking about the same man. Is that so? The Chesapeake Ripper often removed multiple organs from his victims, cannibalizing them. You say Hannibal Lecter is this Chesapeake Ripper? Must that mean that he is also the shadow of Bellamar? The man who killed my wife? Yes. And we are about to attend his dinner party. Yes. Okay, bear with me here. This next one is pretty long, both the description and the song. Alright. Now we find ourselves in the home of Hannibal and Will as they prepare for the dinner party. Will mentions that Ernesto is bringing a +1, something he hasn't done since his wife died 3 years ago. Then, Walter and Ernesto arrive. Ernesto nearly blows Walter's cover immediately by saying his name, but Walter interrupts with a last-minute alias. He can't think of anything in the moment, so he just says William. Perhaps in the back of his mind, he was trying to see if he could get a reaction out of Will? The world may never know. When Hannibal offers them some wine, Walter requests white instead of red, intentionally making Hannibal leave to get it. His goal was to get Will alone, but of course he and Hannibal are attached at the hip at this point, so they leave together. Out of earshot of the guests, Hannibal and Will discuss this odd new man, William. Will says he seems very familiar, and Hannibal suggests it may be someone from his old life. Will denies this, saying that to be this guy's age, he would have had to be a kid when he left. However, he does not finish this sentence. He just freaks out about the possibility of his old family being here, and Hannibal has to deal with it. Once he's calm, they begin to return to the kitchen/dining area. Then we swipe over to what was happening with Walter and Ernesto during that time. Ernesto shares details of when the two men first arrived, while Walter gives him some of the violent backstory. It is at this moment that Hannibal and Will return. They exchange a few awkward lines before Lola arrives. She tells them how she met Walter, of course, using his new alias because she forgot his real name already. After more questioning from Hannibal, they enjoy their meal and say their goodbyes. As soon as the door closes, Hannibal tells Will that this William was lying about pretty much everything he said. He now believes that Will's theory may be correct and that this is his stepson, Wally. On the other side, Ernesto warns Walter that if Hannibal is as bad as he says, he must be careful. He tells Wally that the shadow is expected to strike again that Friday. Little do they know, Hannibal was listening through the door. Without further ado, here is The Dinner Party.
The table is set for our last dinner party as we say goodbye to this beautiful city. It's certainly no Florence, but it's these special moments that suddenly make everything worth it. I thought I enjoyed the solitude of the middle of nowhere and living without you, but being so close to all the action has enlightened me. You become quite the celebrity.
Your dog walking business was a great success. I wouldn't necessarily call it a business. I usually don't accept payment. Time with the dogs is enough.
You prefer to spend your days with dogs rather than fish.
Coming home smelling like bass isn't helping my relationship, but I love being out on the water.
Lucky for me, you showered.
I had to be ready for our guests. I ran into Ernesto on the way home. He told me he's finally using his +1. He hasn't brought a guest since his wife passed. It must be someone important.
I try not to question his motives. It leads me down those rabbit holes packed with explosives. I find myself stuck too often, can't find the fuse. When it comes to Ernesto, my empathy's no use.
He sure is an interesting one. Somebody's early. That's odd. Ah, speak of the devil.
Buenas tardes, Ernesto. Clem tells me you brought a guest. I'm sorry we're so early. I hope we aren't interrupting.
Of course not. Taylor and I were just setting the table. And who's this? This is my friend William, but most people call me Will. Well, hello, Will, and welcome to our home. Feel free to have a seat wherever you'd like. Would you care for a glass of wine? If it's not too much trouble, I prefer white over red. Oh, it's no trouble at all. Clem and I can grab that for you.
Does Ernesto's guest seem strange to you? I tend to trust his judgment. He seems so familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. Could he be someone from your past? I don't know, he looks too young for that. He'd have to be a kid when I... No, it can't be him. There's no way. Who is he, Will? He's all grown up and he's here to make me pay. What if Molly's here too? Are they with the FBI? They found us now, haven't they? It was only a matter of time. Will, look at me, you're thinking irrationally. Stop running from your old life, clear your mind. It's never been clear. We are leaving soon. Even if they found us, we'll be gone before they make a move.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Never apologize for fear, but understand fear is the enemy. If this man is who you say he is, don't let it show on your face. Then he'll know we know he knows it'll seal our fate.
Do you understand understand? Yes. Just breathe, Will. Come on, let's not keep them waiting. How's it going? Any clues yet? Nothing major, just confirm their aliases. But I do find it strange they went together. I was hoping to get Will alone. They're inseparable, good luck with that. It's like trying to pull a mouse from the trap. The only thing that could free him is a hungry or bloodthirsty cat. Surely there must be something I can do. You say they're never home, what kind of stuff are they up to? Clem is a fisherman and Taylor's a mystery, but whatever he does, he makes a pretty penny. This is the nicest house on the block. What was it like when they moved in? Strange, now that you mention it. They barely left the house, never talked to anybody. Then I spotted them on the beach with their morning coffee. The first thing I noticed were the scars. I didn't ask questions, knew I wouldn't get far. I assumed they were victims of some kind of attack, or former military, just too much to unpack. The truth is darker than that. They used to be enemies and have the scars to match. What about Clem's face? I don't remember that one. He must have gotten it after leaving home, but that cut on his forehead is easily explained. Hannibal was trying to get inside his brain. You've enlightened me, Walter. I never would have guessed. They seemed so happy, never saw them in distress. But everybody has their secrets. These two just have a knack for keeping them. I apologize for the delay. This one was a bit difficult to find, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. What kind of chat were you two having? I was telling Ernesto about my life in the States. I moved here a week ago today. He's a fascinating kid, I must admit. Much more interesting than I've ever been. Really, we'll throw you a party. No, that's not necessary. There's boxes everywhere, I'll help you unpack. I'm fine on my own, well, good luck with that. Lola, I'm so glad you can make it. You know I adore Taylor's cooking. Don't we all? Come on in, everybody. You're right on time. I made a special dish for tonight. I think you will all love it. It looks delicious, as always. Oh, it's you again. What did you say your name was, young man? William. I met William in the park the other day. He asked me some questions, he was doing a survey. Really? I haven't seen you around. You've been here for a week, why aren't you out on the town? I'm a bit shy, mostly keeping to myself, only leaving for work or to help someone else. So you came here for a job, what is it you do? I'd rather not explain if that's okay with you. It's a bit complicated. That's alright. Maybe you can tell us about it some other time. Now, let's eat before this gets cold. It was a pleasure meeting you, William. Yes, we hope to see you again soon. I'll try my best to get out of the house. Thank you for the dinner. My pleasure. Have a good evening, both of you. That young man was lying. About what? I'd say nearly everything. I could see the nerves on his face. Your theory may be correct, I'm afraid. If that's Wally, you mustn't dwell on it, Will. Remember, fear is the enemy. You told many lies. Lucky they didn't notice. They did, they just haven't done anything about it. If that's true, I pray for your safety. If they're half as bad as you say, I'm glad it isn't me. How did you know so much about them, about their relationship? I must admit, I too have a personal connection with these killers. Did they take someone from you? No, Will is or was my family. Married my mom and then he ran off. I was just a kid, but it hurt me, 'cause I saw how he hurt her. He played with fire and she got burnt. But isn't that just the way things work? I'm sorry, that must have been difficult, seeing him after all this time. I think he was more nervous than I was, like he knew it was me. That is possible. In that case, you must be extra careful, Walter. When does the shadow strike again? For a while we thought he was gone, but then every new moon he strikes never misses. La Sombra works in total darkness. The next new moon is this Friday. Will you be ready? I have to be.
The next day, Chilton and Bedelia arrive in Cuba. Bedelia informs Chilton of her research findings. She discovered Hannibal's secret killer identity and figured out where and when to find him. With only 4 days to go, they must plan carefully. And there's no song, so here's the script. I've always wanted to visit the Caribbean. I was actually hoping to take a vacation after the Red Dragon was caught, but Will Graham really threw a wrench in my plans. Or, in this case, I suppose it'd be a match. We have all faced obstacles put in our way by Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter. Luckily, I am now mobile enough to jump through the hoops they'll toss at us. You may be agile, but is your mind strong enough to face Hannibal again? Likely stronger than yours.
Chilton is silent for a moment, offended.
So, what's the plan? How are we going to find them? Should we talk to the locals? No need. I know exactly where to find them. Did Hannibal drop hints at your dinner all those years ago? No, I've simply done my research. We're looking for the caves of Bellamar. It's a tourist attraction in Montage, but it's been shut down for years due to mysterious deaths and disappearances. Many believe there is a serial killer dwelling in the caves, as many who trespass are found dead the next morning. They'd be slain in small groups, no more than 3, just like the Chesapeake Ripper. This killer has a name too, La Sombra De Bellamar, named after the shadows that kept his actions in the dark. I've seen his crime scenes. They look like Hannibal's work to me.
Is Will helping him?
I'd like to believe so. I'm hoping to take them both out at the same time. Their blood will mix in a pool between them. How romantic. How are we going to find them? How will we know when they're out there? Hannibal used to spend a lot of time in those caves, killing every weekend. But over the years he slowed down. There was never any method to his madness, no pattern, until now. The shadow has struck on each new moon for the past 4 months. He likely adopted a very cliché schedule to lead the investigation away from him. Surely a man as intelligent as Hannibal would come up with something far more complicated.
When is the next one?
Friday.
Well then, we better hurry. It's Monday and half the day's already gone. We only have 4 days to prepare ourselves.
Yes, it is not ideal, but we must take advantage of every second. I imagine this will be the last time they will complete this killing ritual before leaving the country. We only get 1 shot. At night, Hannibal enters the kitchen to see none other than Shadowgirls. Amazed and confused, he calls for Will, who acts super casual around the shadow figure, even asking where the others are, which draws them out. The Shadowgirls cannot speak, but they can sing. Will urges Hannibal to talk to Shadowgirl. She makes a lot of Mizumono references. Will drops some Shadowgirl lore, both of them exchanging stories of their experience in the past. Will references his interaction with them in rocking the boat, saying that he felt they were trying to warn him of what was about to happen. The girls leave them with another warning, a cryptic song that will haunt their dreams. A song that doesn't have a real title, so we just call it Return of the Shadowgirls.
Abigail, is that really you? It's too good to be true. After all
It's important. Hey, Abigail. Where are the others? It's been a long time. What have you been up to? Still can't talk? You can sing. I remember that. You've seen her before. Used to see her all the time. When did you start seeing her again? Not before tonight. Go ahead. Talk to her. Abigail, it was so long ago. My deepest regrets and an apology I owe. Understand the sorrow it brings me. I have to ask, will you forgive me? You made a place for all of us, together just the three of us.
For just one moment, time reversed, then it took a turn for the worse.
They prey on the darkness inside of you, the things that haunt you day and night. It all started with a strike. I thought they'd go away when it was solved. Oh, how could I have been so wrong? They multiply, taunt, and terrorize. After a while, I began to accept their presence, and they became more docile in return. When did you see one for the first time? As I carried you away from Muskrat Farm, Chu and I were discussing the past. I told her what happened to my sister, Misha. And before I knew it, she was right there in front of me. Were you scared? I was. Stunned is the word I'd use. Was it just Misha? At first it was only her, leaving me at a loss for words. But when I was incarcerated, the shadows they duplicated. They spoke in horrible, distorted voices, but when they sang, it was beautiful. They stopped appearing to me shortly after we set sail, leaving behind the life that haunted me. The last time I saw them was that night on the boat with the awful storm. I think they were trying to warn me, but I didn't understand. If only you had. I found you on the deck, unconscious. I was worried you were dead.
No matter how far you stray, we know someday you'll find your way back home. You'll see the palace gates, it'll be no twist of fate. Together you'll be, and together you'll stay. I'll see our twisted little family. If you must know why I appeared, your haunting past has followed you here. In every dark corner stands a warning, foreshadowing the end of this story. Say how it ends once around the riverbed, but I promise you no one will be happy.
Next, we join Walter for a call back home. He shares his findings with Jack and talks with his mother, assuring her that he's all right. This one is pretty simple, so I'll just play it. The fact that he's calling us means he's alive. Now let's hope he's found something, or someone. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, I can.
What were your first days like? You arrived Thursday and then
I looked around, went to a park, and met a woman named Lola.
she's seen Will and Hannibal, but called them Clem and Taylor. I tried to explain that those were fake names, but she didn't want to know. Nobody did, except for a man named Ernesto.
Ernesto Alvarez. He is Will and Hannibal's next-door neighbor.
Wow, you hit a pot of gold. Wait, it gets better. He took me along as a +1 to one of their fancy Sunday dinners.
So you have an address. Perfect.
Did they recognize you? It's kind of hard to say. Will was acting strange and Lecter in a cautious way. You must be very careful if they figure out who you are. It could spell big trouble. Will you get help from Ernesto? There's an unsolved serial killing that reeks of Chesapeake. The killer will be hiding in the caves this Friday.
He's coming with me to find him. Or at least that's the current plan.
Are you sure you can trust him? We believe Hannibal killed his wife. He has no reason to side with them. Glad you found him to help fight.
I'm going to pass you over to your mother.
I've been so worried about you. I have no idea what I'd do if Reba and Jack weren't around. My mind would never be so sound.
Are you alright?
Yes, Mom. I'm fine. I promise. I'm absolutely terrified. I wish I could go down there. I've had 10 years of puberty. Will would know you immediately. It could be beneficial for him to look me in the eyes. The consequences of his actions, results of all his lies. Save that for after I catch them. You said the plan is in action this Friday night, when the new moon shines bright. Very cliche, not like him to stay away from pretension without hesitation. When the tide crosses the ridge in the sand, and the wind blows to the east with light rain, the shadow of Bellamar will strike, and rebirth will ensue from the flames. It was probably Will's idea, dumb down Hannibal's profile, so they don't raise suspicion. They think it's random, not them.
Speaking of Will, since you saw them, you know I have to ask. Are they, you know?
I think so. I'm sorry, Mom.
Of course they are. The love of killing in art isn't enough.
Well, I'm sure you're busy, so I'm gonna let you go. But just remember to stay safe and stick to the plan.
Catch them, come home. Catch them, come home. Don't worry, Mom. I've got this.
Immediately after the call with Walter, Reba arrives. When she inquires about the call, Molly expresses concern for Walter. She's worried that his plan will get him killed.
Jack and Reba try their best to calm Molly down, but she decides that she must follow her son to Cuba. After she reveals that she has already booked a flight, Molly heads for the airport. We then skip over to her arriving in Havana. Just like Walter, Molly decides to talk to some locals first. She meets Lola and asks about Ernesto. Lola takes Molly to his house, but he isn't home. Suddenly, we see Will approaching with the groceries. He and Molly lock eyes before they both run and hide. Will rushes inside while Molly ducks behind some bushes. Lola notices that Molly is shaken up and asks what her relationship to Will, or Clem, is. Molly explains that Will and Hannibal are wanted fugitives living under false identities. Lola then recalls that a young man told her a similar story. Molly realizes that she's talking about Walter, and Lola agrees to help her find him. This scene doesn't have a title or a song, so here goes the script. There's a knock at the door. Molly gets up to answer. It's Reba. Molly pulls her into a hug before leading her to the living room. Oh, Reba, I am so glad you're here. We just got off a call with Wally. How's he doing? He sounded okay, but I'm worried. His plans, they concern me. He's teamed up with the local man that's lived next to Will and Hannibal for 10 years. They're planning to ambush them in some cave system. Near total darkness and Hannibal Lecter is an awful combination. I agree. It isn't an ideal circumstance, but it's all we've got. I just want him to come back in one piece. A moment of silence for possible foreshadowing? So, this is the first time he's been away from home? The farthest we ever traveled was the beach. I'm sure he'll be all right. He's a very smart young man. But we all know what those men are capable of. What if they recognized him? They could be plotting his murder as we speak. Molly, I understand your concern. I didn't want to send Walter down there either, but he may be our best shot. You protected him his whole life. It's time for the bird to leave the nest. A mother's job is never done. If I stay here, I'll never rest. Well, what are you gonna do? Follow him? Molly stops in her tracks, turning to face them. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Molly, you need to think about this. I have. It's all I've been able to think about since he left, so I booked a flight. I leave for Havana in 2 hours. I promise you Walter will be all right on his own. Said it yourself. He's seen enough. I need to protect him. But who's going to protect you? I think I've learned to fend for myself in the past 10 years, wouldn't you say? Her words hang in silence. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to the airport. Molly exits, lights out and instrumental to establish the passage of time. When lights come back up, Molly is at the park in Cuba, where Lola sits on a bench. I can't find him on my own in the city like this. I need to talk to some locals and see what they know. Molly approaches Lola. Excuse me, do you know a man named Ernesto Alvarez? Ernesto? Who doesn't know Ernesto? Do you know where I could find him? He's usually home at this time. Would you like me to take you to him? Yes, please, if it's not too much trouble. Oh, no trouble at all. Lola stands and escorts Molly off stage. The set changes to Ernesto's house and Will and Hannibal's house exterior. So, what's your name? Molly. Buenos dias, Molly. You can call me Lola. What business do you have with Ernesto? I'm trying to find my son. Last we spoke, he told me about him. I'm hoping he'll help me. Ernesto is very kind. I'm sure he will. Pause. They've arrived. Here it is. Que extraño. It looks like he isn't home. On the Hannibal and Will side of the stage, Will enters, carrying some groceries. He and Molly lock eyes before she retreats to hide behind a bush or fence. Was that her? Was that him? Then there's kind of a non-scripted verse where we explore Molly and Will's feelings about seeing their ex after 10 years. Will's guilt and Molly's grief turn to anger shine through. By the end, Molly is basically just angry crying, and Will is questioning reality, trying to convince himself that she wasn't real. Molly, what's wrong? It's him. Who is that man to you? Why does he make you cry? He's my ex-husband. Clem never mentioned a previous marriage. That's not his name. It's Will Graham, and the man you know as Taylor is Hannibal Lecter, both wanted fugitives. Will told me he was going to catch a killer, then come home. Instead, he helped a serial-killing cannibal escape custody, then ran off to Cuba with him. I couldn't imagine the man I know doing something like that. Are you sure it's him? He saw me and his face dropped. It's him. Last week, a young man told me a similar story, and I didn't believe him. But hearing it from you, I'm starting to think that Clem and Taylor aren't who they say they are. Wait, Can you describe him to me, this young man? Forgive me, my memory isn't the best, but he had dark brown hair and eyes just like yours. Looked to be in his early 20s. Poor thing never smiled since I met him. That's him. That's my son, Wally. Then we'll find him soon enough. Meanwhile, Walter and Ernesto are at the entrance to Las Cuevas de Bellamar. Hannibal sneakily followed them there and is listening to their conversation. They enter the caves to discuss stories of the killer. Ernesto informs Walter that he will not be able to accompany him when he confronts Hannibal, but Walter says he isn't scared. This is another one with no song, but the script is pretty spicy on its own, so let's go. Ernesto stands waiting by the entry to Las Cuevas de Bellamar. Walter enters. You sure nobody followed you? Positive. We see Hannibal poke his head out from behind the bushes, listening, but the two do not see him. All right, take a lantern. It's pitch black in there even during the day. I'm gonna take you to where La Sombra likes to come out and play. Walter and Ernesto walk across the stage, entering the space under the loft. Hannibal quietly follows. Many bodies have been found here. It's either his killing spot or dumping ground. Either way, I bet we'll find him here tomorrow night. I see why he likes it. Very dark. People say you won't be able to see him until his knife is already in your chest. Has anyone survived? This next part could be really cool as one of those little silhouette puppet shows like the beginning of the Jungle Book or something. It'd be projected on the wall of the cave, so just picture that. Not that we can confirm, but a man claimed to have seen his face last summer. Of course, he disappeared 2 weeks later, but he did give a description. Though I'll warn you, nobody believed him. He said the man came out of the shadows in a shining suit, still drenched in blood. The darkness fell over half his face, filling the sockets of his deep-set eyes. The man claims he even spoke to him. La Sombra said, "No one will ever believe you," before retreating into the caverns. Do you believe him? I'm inclined to. That man didn't speak English beyond basic greetings and small talk. Do either of them speak Spanish? Will, barely enough to communicate with the other fishermen, but Hannibal has always been surprisingly fluent. So he could have given the man this message in his native language, but chose to give a clue instead. Focus shifts to Hannibal in his hiding spot, listening. You're a very smart boy. But what are you planning? Now back to Walter and Ernesto. So we come here Friday night. I'd say our best chance is to be here by midnight. I'm afraid I would only slow you down. I've helped you as much as I can. So I have to come here alone? I'm sorry, Walter. But I can assure you, you won't be alone. Mind the shadows. It's fine. I can do this. I'm not afraid of Hannibal. Now come on, let's get out of here. Back to Hannibal as he watches them leave. Perhaps not as smart as I thought. You should be very afraid. That night, Hannibal and Will are getting ready to hit the hay when Hannibal brings up his plans for the new moon. He tells Will about Walter and Ernesto's plan, then shares his own. I present to you Paradise in Peril. Will, there is something we need to talk about. Have I been snoring again? No, you sleep like a rock. It's about that curious young man, William.
Are you planning to kill him? I don't agree, but I won't object. I heard him and Ernesto talking. You may change your mind when you learn the subject. Not just talking, they were planning. The night of the dinner party, William revealed his identity.
Is he? I'm afraid so.
And he knows about the caves. Yesterday I followed him. He knows La Sombra strikes on Friday. And this day would come when it all came crashing down. Our kingdom falls before my eyes, and shattered is my crown, ruining our fantasy. First Molly, now Wally, they're all here to haunt me. I try to escape my family, to abandon accountability.
Will, look at me. Remember what I said about fear.
We opened a door, we can't control what comes through. There's should I be afraid if all my fears soon come true? If we don't leave now, I'm just so tired of lying. I deserve more than that. I need to trust you. I have a plan, don't worry. The way you say that it worries me. Is this a plan made in haste? It has to be. We're running out of time. Chio will be here tomorrow night to take us away.
For now, it doesn't matter where. What do we do until then?
I will take care of the boy. You stay at the house, grab our things and wait. I'll be home before sunrise, and we can make our escape. What if he comes here? He knows where we live. Make him wish he never did.
The next song was going to be very long and chaotic. Beginning on Friday night, we see Bedelia telling Chilton that she cannot join him in the caves, claiming to feel ill. However, the truth is that she has been setting Chilton up for failure this whole time. We then move on to an unscripted section, following Walter and Chilton as they travel through the caves, both armed. They back into each other, and out of fear, Walter stabs Chilton, thinking it is Hannibal. Shaken, he flees from the scene, leaving his knife behind. Once he is gone, Hannibal emerges from the shadows. He tells Chilton that Bedelia has likely betrayed him, urging him to seek revenge against her. Knowing that Walter is headed for Will, Hannibal grabs the bloody knife off the ground and rushes back home. That begins what we call a chaos section. There are 4 parts to this section. Number 1, Walter having a crisis because he may have just killed an innocent man, but brushing it off to focus on finding Will and Hannibal and bringing them to justice. Number 2, Chilton cursing Bedelia for leading him to another ill fate / going to get his revenge. Number 3, Hannibal going to protect Will. And number 4, Molly searching for Walter. Each character would have a short solo section before they all sing their own chorus at the same time, very similar to what happens in They Know. Then they come back together to sing a common chorus-like section. The song ends very abruptly as Walter arrives at Will's front door. All right, script time. Frederick, I must apologize. I am feeling quite ill. I'm afraid I will not be able to accompany you to the caves. Oh, what a shame. This may be our only chance. I don't know if I can go alone. What if both of them are there? They'd tear you apart. However, I'd argue that the risk is worth the reward. If it's only one, you may be able to defeat them and leave the other devastated. That is true. I should get there early, before sunset. Give me the knife. Bedelia hands over the knife in its sheath. I'm going to find some place to rest, perhaps a shady spot in the park. I'll be there if you need me. Good luck, Frederick. Chilton exits, and Bedelia takes center stage. Everything is going according to my plan. Soon, Frederick Chilton will learn the price of revenge. Hannibal won't kill him. He has nothing to gain. But he certainly will leave him with another painful scar. The ball has dragged the chain to an ill fate. This is a destiny he cannot escape. They all underestimated me, but now they will see. They will believe me. They will all fear me. The lights dim, allowing Bedelia to escape. Setting changes to the cave, a very dark and foggy atmosphere. Walter and Chilton enter from opposite sides, both in spotlight. They are walking backwards towards the center, completely unaware of the other's presence. Both hold lanterns, but Walter is also armed and ready with a knife, while Chilton's is still in the sheath at his belt. And then both sides sing a short verse about searching for Hannibal with their different motivations, Walter for justice and Chilton for revenge. Tension builds as the 2 spotlights converge into one. The 2 men collide and whip around to face one another. Without a second glance, Walter stabs Chilton in the abdomen, conveniently striking where his missing kidney used to be. Nevertheless, Chilton collapses in pain, clutching his stomach. When Walter realizes that he is not Hannibal, he drops the knife and backs away. Oh my God, I thought you were Hannibal Lecter. What's your business here? Got something against the old doctor? Him and his lesser half. Not very fond of Will Graham, are you? I want to kill him. You and me both. You're not going to find him here. He must be at home. Walter turns to leave. Hey, kid. Walter turns back around, hesitantly. You're going to leave this knife? Pretty useful for killing. I can't. Walter runs out, leaving his knife on the ground. After a few moments, Hannibal enters. Hello, Frederick. Have you come here to kill me? Hannibal, you've aged like fine wine. No use in flattery. I know what you intended to do. However, it appears you are in no position to do that now. You were certainly in no position to attack Dr. du Maurier less than 48 hours after Graham pulled you off that cliff. How did you ever forgive him? We've given each other many scars, and we've settled our differences. Is Bedelia here as well? She was supposed to be here with me. What other promises did she make? We were going to get our revenge against you and Will Graham. I will tell you right now that she never intended on following through with your plan. She was stringing you along. No, you're lying. I'm afraid it's the truth. Not once did she ever express a desire for revenge, even as we sat at her dining room table 10 years ago. People change, and I'm sure she has. She has grown very bitter over the years. The acclaim she won as she lied her way out of Florence has gone to her head, as did your survival of the Great Red Dragon. You believe she has betrayed me? I know it for certain. Tell me, do you still have the weapon you intended to use on me? Yes. Then go. Exact your true revenge against the woman who took advantage of you in your vulnerable state. There's a silence as Chilton considers it. That kid's going after Will, you know. He thought I was you. Hannibal grabs Walter's knife and quickly retreats into the darkness as a spotlight focuses on Chilton. He stands and takes center stage. Suddenly, 3 more spotlights emerge. Molly in the loft, Hannibal on one side of the main stage, and Walter on the other. This is where the chaos comes in. Each character kind of sings a short verse before they all come together and do one like where they're all singing different things at the same time, you know? And I've stated what those were above, but I guess I'll repeat that. 1. Wally having a crisis because he may have just killed an innocent man, but brushing it off to focus on finding Will and Hannibal and bringing them to justice. 2. Chilton cursing Bedelia for leading him to another ill fate / going to get his revenge. 3. Hannibal going to protect Will. And 4. Molly searching for Wally. Then they come back together to sing a common chorus-like section. The song ends very abruptly. The next song begins as Will answers the door to see Walter. At first, it's a verbal argument, but Walter soon escalates it to a physical altercation. Shadowgirls crowd the scene, an omen of death. As Will takes blow after blow, they urge him to fight back. However, he still only blocks to defend himself the best he can. Before Walter can kill Will, Hannibal comes to the rescue. What he does next is shocking, not clickbait. This one is Live by the Sword. Wally, so you finally figured it out, huh? Took you long enough to realize, you know they've always said I have her eyes. Whose blood is that? Don't worry, it's not Hannibal's. I haven't gotten to him yet, but I may have just killed a man. Okay, are you here for help, or to continue that streak? What do you think? Who sent you here? Are you with the FBI? A personal trip, but I'll tell Jack you said hi. A name I haven't heard in some time. Not since you vowed to live this life of crime. Didn't anticipate that this would be your fate. Didn't think it'd come back to bite you. You spoke of a reckoning, this is mine. Hell-bent on revenge, are you? Not for me. for the woman you married.
How is she?
Better off without the ghost you carried. She's thriving now, took back her old name. Since you abandoned us, so much has changed. I had no choice. Hannibal, you chose Hannibal Lecter over my mom. I choose freedom. Would you rather visit me behind plexiglass? Is it too much to ask that I be free to spend my will?
You had your chance to do the right thing.
Now it's my turn. Hurt him, his family. What has he ever done to me?
He's not your family anymore. Fight back, what are you waiting for?
Would they ever take me back after all the things I've done?
They'd push you away when they see what you've become. You know where you belong. He wants you to be strong. Don't just stand there. Do what you do best.
I can't
Take back your life and fight to the death.
First kill feels good, doesn't it? Will your heart race when you hear my last breath? You can make it all go away. Lay your head back and dream. Close your eyes and wait into the quiet of the street. The next one starts immediately, as Will realizes what has happened. Hannibal assures him that he did the right thing by slitting Walter's throat with the kid's own knife. Will gets upset because Walter is just another person that Hannibal has taken away from him, referencing Abigail with a once grieved, grieved again moment. Suddenly, Molly sprints onto the scene, rushing to Walter's side. She turns to Hannibal, angry. In a shocking turn of events, she punches Hannibal in the face, starting an uneven knife fight. Hannibal swings and stabs at her, but she dodges, having been trained in self-defense after the Red Dragon attack. Before Hannibal can possibly get a hit on her, Will stumbles to his feet and takes it on her behalf. Don't worry, he isn't dead, just an idiot. Will tells Hannibal to wait in the boat while he talks to Molly. This one is appropriately titled, Die by the Sword. He wanted to kill you with his hands. Like father, like son. I know you care for this boy, but he was going to kill you. He was going to kill both of us. This is the knife he was going to use. He wanted to be a knight in shining armor. He wanted to return home with his honor. But those who live by the sword die by the sword, sometimes by their own. It's just the way things go. It's almost as if you're trying to push me away. It's almost as if you're trying to break the chain. You took her away, you took him away. All you do is take and take. I knew he wasn't mine, but I'd like to think I tried to be a good father to him. But I guess I failed in the end. Maybe death now was my fate. This was not your battle to fight.
to die. Catch them, come home, you said. Catch them, come home. You took him away. You took them both away. Now's my chance to take it back. It's my chance to make you pay.
I've been waiting 10 years to do this.
A goddess scorned unleashes wrath upon those who dare cross paths. A mother mourning, army storming, in her head avenge the dead. Achilles skilled with the blade, blood like some unholy rain, fighting to protect his flame. Bodies lost in smoke and haze. Wilgrim staggers to his feet, refuses to accept defeat. He cannot bear to see more death. He can't let Hannibal take again. One clean swipe across the chest, over the heart it takes his breath. A worthy sacrifice, the lamb. An eye for an eye, a man for a man.
Hannibal, stop. Leave her alone.
Had you known for your life, you'd reach the palace gates and leave me behind. He could have killed you. I'd let him if he wanted to.
If I'm going to die tonight, I'd like to clear my conscience. Hannibal, grab our bags and go wait in the boat. I'll meet you there, I promise. Molly, we need to talk. I'm not crying. You are. Okay, maybe both of us are crying. As Hannibal is getting ready to leave, Ernesto knocks on the door, looking for Walter. Hannibal captures him and sits him down at the dinner table. He questions him, making him reveal what he knows. Then Hannibal reveals what, or rather, who, he was serving at the dinner parties. He assures Ernesto that no one will ever believe that he fed them humans, including Ernesto's own dead wife. He lets Ernesto live, knowing that he will never be able to speak up. And of course, here's the script, because there's no song, unfortunately. There is a knock at the door. Hannibal throws on a suit jacket to hide the bloodstains on his shirt. When he answers the door, he is greeted by Ernesto. Hello, Ernesto. You look concerned. What brings you here so late? Have you seen William anywhere? He was supposed to call me, but he's not answering his phone. I'm afraid I have. You may want to come inside. Hannibal leads Ernesto inside, closing the door behind them. Suddenly, Hannibal wraps his arms around Ernesto in a chokehold. Lights out as Ernesto is tied up at the dinner table. As the lights turn back on, Hannibal stands over him, holding the bloody knife he used to kill Walter. Senor Alvarez, you are in deep, deep trouble. What? What's going on? Where's William? What is your relationship with Walter Foster? Were you his informant? Be wise with your answers. If you lie, I will know. Quite the opposite. I know all about you and your partner in crime. He told me everything. You've been stalking us for years now and couldn't figure it out. I knew something was wrong with you two. I just couldn't pin it down. How much do you know now? Your real name is Hannibal Lecter, and you're a wanted fugitive. You're the Chesapeake Ripper, the Monster of Florence, and the Shadow of Bellamar. You've probably killed over 100 people in your lifetime. That's correct. Ernesto, do you know how lucky you are to be alive? He does not answer. Your wife does not share this luxury. You killed her. Why? Tell me why. First, Ernesto, tell me this. How did she taste? Ernesto is speechless for a moment. The parties. You fed us, you monster! The worst part is, no one will ever believe you. I can let you live with this knowledge, and it will eat away at your conscience for the rest of your life. They'll read about you in the paper. Everyone here will know you are murderers. But as far as they know, we don't eat people, Ernesto. You do. Hannibal grabs the bags and walks out the front door, exiting. Lights out. Let's go back to the patio, where Will is trying to clear his conscience with Molly. But Molly ain't having it. She goes off on him. Then she punches him in the face, with permission. There are some quote callbacks before she lets him run off to his little boyfriend. This one doesn't have a song, it's Will's apology. Molly and Will stand in spotlight. Why did you do that? He could have killed you. It wouldn't be the first time. As poetic as it would be for a mother and her child to be on the same side of life, I couldn't just let him kill someone else who didn't deserve it. And you think you deserved it? There's a silence as Will starts studying the stones of the patio. I know I'm the last person you want to talk to right now, but please, just hear me out. A sick part of me wishes he did kill you. I understand that you're angry, but I am so much more than angry, Will. I am devastated. This man you ran away with, who you left me for, killed my son. There was nothing I could have done. I'm sorry. Oh, please. You think you're this helpless, tortured soul? You'd rather believe that everything happens to you against your will, that you were forced into this situation, than admit how cruel you can be. You're not the victim anymore, Will. The moment you decided to run off to Cuba with a wanted fugitive, you turned your back on justice. And you turned your back on me. I'm sorry, I never should have dragged you into all this mess. It's a little more than a mess. This isn't something you can clean up. I know. I think I knew that as soon as I walked off that beach with him. And you still did it. Yes. And again, I'm sorry. But you and I both know we can't go back. And I doubt you want to after all that's happened. I just want to leave this without you hating me more than you already do. I don't hate you, Will. I hate him. And I hate that you're with him. And I hate what you've become. Is there anything I can do now to make things right? I'd love to hit you too, but just look at you. You'd probably crumble at the slightest touch. I'm sure it can't get much worse than this. Go for it. Will braces himself as Molly throws a punch, hitting him square in the jaw. He stumbles back but manages to steady himself. Did that feel good? No. Because I still don't understand why. Why did you run away with him? Because he was all I had. After we defeated the dragon, I knew I had lost you. I knew I wasn't going to be the same. I couldn't go back. Whatever you became after the dragon, I would have accepted you. But the man you are today, I just can't. I don't understand. After everything he's done, after this, you'd stay with him? Police sirens can be heard in the distance. Will steps away, preparing to leave. Where else would I go? Molly's face hardens with anger. Then go. Go continue to live your life causing others pain. Go be with a man who has done nothing but harm to you. That was over 10 years ago, Molly. He's changed. He did all this to protect me. He what? He loves you? He really believed that? There is a moment of silence, as Molly has just dropped the mic. You cannot control, in all respect, to whom you fall in love with. You two really do deserve each other. Molly exits. The sirens grow closer, and Will runs off in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, Bedelia is still sitting in the park, waiting for Chilton to return. When he does, he is pissed and out for blood. He confronts her, and you'll never believe what happens next. This script is Chilton's revenge. On the main stage, the setting is the park. There are no other people around, as it is nighttime. Bedelia sits on the bench. Chilton enters, still covered in blood and stumbling, concealing a knife. Bedelia looks up at the sound of his voice. Enjoying your rest? Bedelia stands, a false expression of shock and worry on her face. Frederick, what happened? I was stabbed. What does it look like? We must go to the hospital. This is all your fault, you know. I didn't do this. But you left me alone in those caves. You knew this would happen. Bedelia is silent for a moment, realizing that he is on to her. Was it Hannibal or Will? Neither. Some kid. He was there for Hannibal as well, but I didn't recognize him. But lo and behold, after he got me, out from the shadows came Hannibal Lecter. He had been watching the whole time. We had a very enlightening conversation. About what? About you. You and your betrayal. I don't know what you're talking about, Frederick. I've stood by you for all these years, and you believe Hannibal? You led me down the garden path, promising the fruit of revenge. But there's a snake in this garden, orchestrating the furtherance of my suffering. You are no innocent man in all of this. I was manipulated. You saw me plant the seeds of my longing for revenge. Then you watered it and watched it grow. You were probably just using me to get to Hannibal yourself. And what is to be done about that? You're in no shape to drag me to those caves. No need. I can deal with you here. Chilton pulls out the knife and stabs Bedelia. She collapses to the ground, clutching her side as she backs away from Chilton. Now you will feel the pain that I did. You fool. Now neither of us can get what we want. Your death suits me just fine. I take solace in the fact that you and I will reside in separate circles of hell. Chilton drops the knife and falls to his knees, soon toppling over onto the ground. He and Bedelia both lay still. Lights slowly dim as the music fades until they are shrouded in darkness and a cold silence. Don't worry, I wouldn't actually kill Chilton. They're not dead. They're just, sleeping. I don't know. All right, just one more to go until the finale. In the next song, we find Will rushing onto the boat. They set sail and begin putting Will back together. As he performs first aid, Hannibal traps Will into an emotional conversation about the value of human life. Will manages to sneak away and be by himself for a little rocking the boat 2.0 moment. Master of boundaries, Hannibal eventually joins in the song even though Will explicitly stated that he wanted to be alone. Like any partner with an agenda, he brings up Will's little fall 10 years ago during the original Rocking the Boat, only to segue into saying Will clings to the past. They sing a little, and then Hannibal does what he actually barged in to do. You see, living in Cuba, Will and Hannibal were known as that couple, but the rest of the world needs to know their relationship status. He gives Will his half of a pair of rings they used to wear, so that nobody will try to steal his man. That's right, it's Rocking the Boat, Reprise. We need to go. They're at the house. I think one of them saw me. Will, you need first aid. Let me time. We'll stop somewhere later. I'll be fine. Take us away. I'll take care of him. Thank you for not leaving me behind. One more minute and I make you swim. How was your conversation? I think I made things worse. She hates you, hates what I've become. She asked why I'd stay with you after everything you've done. I think it's for the best. You put your old life to rest. The weight heavy on your conscience. These tragic events. Is every murder a pound or an ounce? It depends on how hard they are to live without. Families heavy, sisters, daughters, and sons. Abigail was a ton. What about all these? It my burden to carry. When you did the killing, can you forgive me? I forgive how God forgives. In my world there's a happy ending where everyone lives. We both know that what you want is simply impossible. You can't raise the dead or turn back time. What is it you need, Will? I think I need to be alone, just for a moment. The voice in my head never stopped. The fire in my heart still burns hot. Doubt familiar rumbling at my feet. He starts to turn away from me. In the mist I barely start to see. Then
insecurity sowing its seeds. And I know there's no going back from here. Running star, we jumped off of the pier. And I know it's wrong, you've known all along, but it's finally time to face my fears. Alone, Hannibal. That means no one else is around. I know you now carry revived resentment for me, but please push it aside for the night. Chio asked me to watch you. Last time you were left alone on deck, you gave yourself a concussion. That was 10 years ago, and you love to cling to the past, Will. Entertain me for a moment. You're free from the pendulum. Did you choose betrayal or trust? A voice inside me tells me to stay away. Is this a game you're willing to play? Will you let the thundering tide decide your fate? I won't run away from all you ever wanted. I refuse to be haunted by the lives thrown to the flames. You've been led astray. Love hit me like a wave. It'll lead us to the grave, and we will live with the pain. You have a hold on me, there is no breaking the chain. The people we once called neighbors were plenty familiar with our situation. But as we travel the world in search of our next home, we ought to wear them more often. The final song ends this journey in an epic ballad, beginning with a report by Freddie Lowndes. Every character, dead and alive, joins in the song to mourn another loss at the hands of Hannibal Lecter. It starts with living characters that were part of the main story, obviously, but eventually the stage is flooded with dead shadow people. It's designed so that bows could begin immediately. You're welcome, curtain guy. I'm just gonna let you hear it now. It's not 100% complete, but you get the gist. This is Read All About It Reprise. There's so many reprises in this, like, oh my god. At approximately 3:30 a.m. Saturday morning, Walter Foster was found dead at the former home of Will Graham and Hannibal Lecter in Havana, Cuba. I took the picture, I wrote all about it. Can't run from the truth, I'm fully surrounded. A young man has died today. He was the price we had to pay. For nothing in return, no justice will be served. Still killers on the run, blood boiling in the sun. I've seen the pictures, I've read all about it. Can't run from the truth, we're fully surrounded. I've seen the pictures, I read all about it. Can't run from the truth, we're fully surrounded. To all who fell as bodies fall for dead, whether it be laurels or bounties on your heads, lay down your life for justice or for glory. A sacrifice of a ruined family. So what if you deserved it? Was it really worth it? Fragments into the void we carry, and sadly lament the beauty that is gone. But we must carry on. I've seen the pictures, I read all about it. Can't run from the truth, we're fully surrounded. They took our picture, they read all about us. Can't run from the truth that fully surrounds us. We got away, but we lost our home. We've conquered Troy, but now we're all alone. We risked it all, I lost it all for love.
So, there it is. That's what Act 4 was going to be. I'm sad that we didn't get to experience it fully, but I am still proud to present what I had. At the end of an era, a new one begins. Keep your eyes peeled for an upload about my next project.